TV soap news and spoilers say that in the neon-lit underbelly of Las Vegas, where fortunes are won and lost in the blink of an eye, a story of betrayal, love, and vengeance unfolded, gripping the city in a drama so electrifying it could have been ripped from the pages of a Hollywood thriller. At the heart of this tale was Doug Marshall, a man whose life, and apparent death, would unravel a web of deceit orchestrated by the sinister Joey Valenti, a casino magnate whose ambition knew no bounds. The question that hung heavy in the air was this: could Doug, presumed dead by all, make a jaw-dropping return at his own funeral to expose Joey's malevolent schemes? What follows is a saga of love, treachery, and a resurrection that shook the foundations of a city built on secrets. The stage is set, a city of sin and secrets. Las Vegas, with its glittering casinos and shadowed alleys, was the perfect backdrop for this tale of high stakes and higher emotions. Doug Marshall was no stranger to this world. A charismatic entrepreneur with a knack for turning failing businesses into gold, Doug had built a modest empire of boutique hotels that catered to the city's elite. His charm and business acumen made him a beloved figure, but also a target for those who envied his success. Among them was Joey Valenti, the ruthless owner of the Golden Mirage Casino, a towering monument to excess that dominated the Strip. Joey was a man who thrived on control. With his slicked-back hair, tailored suits, and a smile that never reached his eyes, he was the epitome of a predator in a city of opportunists. His casino was a fortress of wealth, built on the backs of those he manipulated, cheated, or destroyed. Doug, with his rising influence and unyielding integrity, was a thorn in Joey's side, a rival who threatened his financial dominance and, more dangerously, his carefully curated image. But the rivalry wasn't just professional. It was deeply personal, rooted in a love triangle that would set the stage for a betrayal so shocking it would reverberate through the city. At the center of this triangle was Vanessa Marshall, Doug's wife of 10 years, a woman whose beauty was matched only by her ambition. Vanessa was the glue that held Doug's world together, but beneath her polished exterior, she harbored secrets that would unravel everything. The affair, a crack in the foundation. Vanessa's affair with Joey began as a whisper, a fleeting moment of weakness in a marriage strained by Doug's relentless work schedule. Joey, ever the opportunist, saw Vanessa's vulnerability as a chance to strike at Doug where it hurt most. Their clandestine meetings in the opulent penthouse suites of the Golden Mirage were a dangerous dance, one that Vanessa justified as a rebellion against a life she felt was slipping out of her control. Joey, however, saw it as a chess move, a way to destabilize Doug emotionally and financially. The affair was a well-kept secret, known only to a select few of Joey's inner circle. But secrets in Las Vegas have a way of seeping through the cracks. Doug, preoccupied with his latest venture, a revolutionary eco-friendly hotel that promised to redefine luxury, remained oblivious to the betrayal unfolding behind his back. That is, until the night his world came crashing down. The staged death, a sinister plot. Joey Valenti was not a man to leave loose ends. Doug's growing influence was a direct threat to his empire, and Vanessa's wavering loyalty was a liability he couldn't afford. The solution, in Joey's twisted mind, was simple: eliminate Doug. But a public assassination would draw too much attention, even in a city where power plays were commonplace. Instead, Joey devised a plan so diabolical it would leave no trace of his involvement, or so he thought. On a stormy night in late October, Doug's car was found mangled in a ravine off a desolate highway outside Las Vegas. The official report declared it a tragic accident, the result of a slick road and poor visibility. The city mourned the loss of one of its brightest stars, and Vanessa, notified of her husband's death while tangled in Joey's silk sheets, was overcome with grief and suspicion. As she sat in the dimly lit suite, the rain pounding against the floor-to-ceiling windows, Vanessa's mind raced. Joey's assurances that he had nothing to do with Doug's death rang hollow. His calm demeanor, the way he poured himself a glass of bourbon without a flicker of emotion, only deepened her unease. "It's a tragedy, Vanessa," he said, his voice smooth as velvet. "But accidents happen." She wanted to believe him, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and it would soon grow into something far more dangerous. The funeral, a stage for revelation. Doug's funeral was a spectacle, as befitted a man of his stature. The cathedral, adorned with white lilies and draped in black velvet, was filled with mourners, friends, colleagues, and even rivals who came to pay their respects. Vanessa, dressed in a tailored black dress that hugged her curves, played the part of the grieving widow flawlessly. Her tears were real, but they were tinged with guilt and fear. Beside her, Joey stood tall, his presence a silent declaration of victory. To the world, he was a pillar of support for the widow. To Vanessa, he was a looming shadow. But the funeral was about to take a turn no one could have anticipated. As the organ played a mournful hymn and the priest spoke of eternal rest, a figure emerged from the back of the cathedral. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Doug Marshall, presumed dead, stepped into the light. His suit was rumpled, his face pale, but his eyes burned with a fire that could only come from a man who had stared death in the face and walked away. The room fell silent, save for the faint clink of Joey's bourbon glass slipping from his hand and shattering on the marble floor. Vanessa's knees buckled, and she clutched the pew for support, her eyes wide with disbelief. Doug's gaze locked onto Joey, and in that moment, the air crackled with the promise of retribution. The resurrection, a plan born in shadows. Doug's survival was no miracle, it was the result of a desperate act of loyalty by his best friend, Randy Coleman. Randy, a former private investigator turned security consultant, had been suspicious of Joey's rapid rise to power. When Doug's car was found in the ravine, Randy refused to believe the official narrative. Risking everything, he tracked down the wreckage and discovered Doug, battered but alive, trapped in the twisted metal. Randy's rescue was only the beginning. As Doug recovered in a safe house on the outskirts of the city, the two men pieced together the truth. Joey had orchestrated the crash, hiring a team of mercenaries to ensure Doug's demise. The plan had been meticulous, but it had one fatal flaw: it underestimated Doug's will to survive and Randy's unwavering loyalty. Together, they hatched a plan to turn Joey's scheme against him. Doug's death gave him the perfect cover to move in the shadows, gathering evidence of Joey's corruption. From rigged slot machines to money laundering, Joey's empire was built on a house of cards, and Doug was determined to bring it crashing down. The funeral, they decided, would be the stage for their revelation, a moment so dramatic it would expose Joey's crimes to the world. The confrontation, truth in the light. As Doug strode down the aisle, the mourners parted like the Red Sea. Whispers of, "It's him," and "He's alive," filled the air, but Doug's focus was singular. He stopped at the altar, turning to face the congregation, his voice steady but laced with fury. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "I stand before you not as a ghost, but as a man betrayed. Joey Valenti, the man you see standing beside my wife, orchestrated my death to eliminate a rival. He thought he could bury me, but he underestimated one thing: the truth always finds a way." Joey's face twisted into a mask of rage, but he maintained his composure, stepping forward with a forced laugh. "This is absurd," he said, his voice dripping with disdain. "Doug, you're clearly unwell. This tragedy has unhinged you." But Doug was prepared. From his jacket, he produced a flash drive, holding it aloft like a weapon. "This contains evidence of Joey's crimes, financial records, communications with his hired thugs, and proof of his attempt on my life. The police have already received copies, and they're on their way." The cathedral erupted into chaos. Vanessa, torn between shock and shame, sank into a pew, her face buried in her hands. Joey lunged for Doug, but Randy was there, restraining him with the ease of a man who had faced worse threats. The mourners, now witnesses to a scandal that would dominate headlines for weeks, watched in stunned silence as police sirens wailed in the distance. The aftermath. A city transformed. Joey's arrest was swift, his empire crumbling as quickly as it had risen. The evidence Doug presented was irrefutable, and the Golden Mirage was seized by authorities, its glittering facade a hollow reminder of Joey's hubris. Vanessa, grappling with her role in the betrayal, sought redemption by cooperating with the investigation, revealing details of Joey's manipulations that sealed his fate. Doug, though vindicated, was forever changed. The man who had once thrived on the energy of Las Vegas now saw its darker side. He sold his hotels, choosing instead to start anew in a quieter corner of the world, far from the neon lights and whispered secrets. Randy, ever the loyal friend, joined him, their bond stronger than ever. The story of Doug's return at his own funeral became a legend in Las Vegas, a cautionary tale of ambition unchecked and loyalty rewarded. For those who witnessed it, it was a reminder that even in a city built on illusion, the truth could break through, as bright and unyielding as the desert sun. Epilogue, a question of what might have been. Could this story have played out differently? Could Vanessa have resisted Joey's charms, or Doug have seen the betrayal coming? Could Joey have succeeded in his plot, leaving Doug's empire in ruins? These questions linger, as they do in any tale of human frailty and resilience. But one thing is certain, in the city of Las Vegas, where fortunes are made and broken in an instant, the line between life and death, truth and deception, is as thin as a razor's edge. And for Doug Marshall, crossing that line meant rewriting his destiny in a way no one could have foreseen. Our TV channel Soap News and Spoilers is the place for those who want to know how the Salem story goes, as well as great Beyond the Gates updates and news, so subscribe to our channel to get what you want. Bye-bye.